Starts off with Knight of Swords. And Knight of Swords represents someone from the air element. So this could be either a Gemini, an Aquarius, or a Libra. But it also could be someone who represents the archetype of Knight of Swords. And Knight of Swords is someone who really has his convictions and beliefs straight. He's willing to, because the sword represents the truth and he's carrying it, his truth, he's willing to go into situations that may even be dangerous, like this burning tower here, but because he's so strong in his beliefs, he's kind of gung-ho and he's going for it, and he's very logical and rational. Sometimes he may go too quickly into battle. In the Rider-Waite, he's on a horse that's like charging against the wind. So when this card comes up, it's saying be strong and follow your beliefs, be like the Knight of Swords, but also be careful that you don't get too gung-ho, too like chasing forward with your beliefs without considering other things like, the heart matter, or being grounded, or having passion. He can sometimes be in his mind a little bit too much. So at the opening of November, consider what your beliefs are, consider your convictions, and pursue those, and have the courage that Knight of Swords does to follow his beliefs and his thoughts and his ideas and his knowledge. That's what enables him to go into situations and have courage, but be careful that you don't go into being wrapped up in just your mind, because that can be the weak side of Knight of Swords. Alternately, this, like I said, could be an air sign that's showing up for you at the beginning of the month. And it's regarding, he's looking at this money situation. So 10 of Coins often points to an inheritance. We can see in this card that there's two flags covering the castle that have coins on them, and it's the most amount of coins that can appear on a card. And we see the couple here in the background in this sort of safe, secure position. This card usually means accumulation of money from good decisions having been made in the past. So the elder who owns the castle passes down the wealth to the couple. And it's a real card of security. It's a card of money showing up, large sums of money. So if you've been expecting some large sums of money, this could be when it shows up. If there's any inheritance, this definitely signifies that. Sometimes this is a windfall, either from a court case or from even an unexpected place. But what it's showing me is that if you do have an air sign involved Pisces, so this could be, again, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, they're looking at this. So the air sign may be concerned with the large stack of money or the inheritance. It could also be that the person who's represented by Knight of Swords is looking at the inheritance. This could be like a lawyer, remember, a person of the mind, defending the large stack of money, or, being gung-ho. This could be like making your mind up that you want to put yourself in a place of security and financial stability. So that's a number of ways of interpreting it, but the person who's the air sign or the Knight of Swords sign is looking at the money, and he's considering it, and he's just he's contemplating it. And there's some way in which, too, there is a difficulty having to do with forgiveness. Judgment is a card that has to do with letting the ghosts of the past go. So any old stories, any old baggage that is existing, when the spiritual fire of judgment shows up, it's an opportunity to burn all of that away with forgiveness. Now, when it's in the reverse position here, there's some resistance there's some doubt or there's some fear to letting go of those ghosts of the past, to letting go of that baggage, to employing forgiveness. So when this shows up in the reverse position, Pisces, I'm going to say, is there any way in which resistance to forgiveness is showing up for you? Perhaps especially regarding this money situation or this Knight of Swords person, because that's what's going on. I'm seeing the Knight of Swords looking at the money, and there's a resistance to forgiveness. Is this like a spat between the family? You know, because we've got the father, the mother, and the child. You know, this could be family members. So is there any resistance to forgiving family members, or any way in which either of you are not letting the past be in the past? That's definitely showing up for you at the beginning of November, Pisces. And then I also see Hangman here. This is in the upright position, because Hangman hangs upside down, and he receives enlightenment in this position. He's doing things differently from conventional means. He's doing different things than the social mores state. So he's looked at as like potentially a criminal, but he's not really. He's just doing things his own unique way, you know, and therefore he sees things from a different perspective, and he receives enlightenment there. So this card is really in support of you doing things your own unique way, following your own path, following the beat of your own drum, not really worrying about what others think. That's a real strong message of Hangman. And it's saying that when you look at things from a different perspective, you get enlightenment. You're able to find a place of relaxation and peace because you've considered it from another angle. It's interesting because he's in the upright position, but if you turn both of these around, you know, you might be inclined to try to see things from the other person's point of view, because that's what may allow you to employ some more of this forgiveness, especially if it's with a family member or someone that you're close with. This spiritual trumpet of fire is actually like speaking to him and actually like pointing to him. So it's saying, you know, when you're in this state of having contemplated things from another point of view, from an opposite, like a 180 from how you may have been seeing it, you may get some release. That's what this card is about. It's about release of the past, release of old baggage, letting things be in the present moment, not being so judgmental, because in the reverse position, judgment can be, you know, being critical, being judgmental, or receiving that sort of judgment. So it appears, though, Pisces, you're in a place where you're not worried about that. You're not really worried about what others think. And if anything, you may be trying to see things from a different perspective. This could be, say, try to be more understanding of others, since you're in a place of self-acceptance. Towards the middle of the month, I see you being ready to move on from something, and it may happen in a very sudden way. This is Eight of Cups. And this is a card of feeling weary, feeling like, okay, I'm ready for the next cycle. I've put a lot of heart. This cups represent emotion and heart energy, so I've put a lot of heart energy and a lot of emotion, a lot of TLC into something, and I'm ready to move on from it. Like, I'm weary, I'm tired. I don't want to keep building this. I want to walk away from this. And we do have this new moon here, which could have been the new moon in Scorpio on the 30th. So that is all about new passions, new desires. I believe for Pisces case, that's in the 9th house, so having to do with publishing, new desires regarding travel, new desires and passions regarding higher learning or religion, other cultures. All of that is 9th house themes. So for Pisces, that's where that new moon is hitting. This is something that you've put a lot of time and attention into, and your heart especially. So this could be a lifestyle, a job, a relationship, a project, but whatever it is, you're ready to move on from it, Pisces, and you're going to be really feeling that mid-month, mid-November. And it could happen suddenly. Something mid-November could break down the tower. And the Tower card has to do with structures, that are in existence, things that look like immovable objects, things that have been, the established ways of things. And Tower has lightning bolts here that strike it, light it on fire, and make it crumble. The old ways may disappear in an instant, is what this card says. And it's sudden, dramatic change coming out of nowhere. You may not see it coming. It may just happen. It looks like, however, Pisces, you're ready for this. With 8 of Cups followed by Tower, it's like this card says I'm ready for the next cycle. Bring it on. This is like, okay, it's here. You asked for it. So I'm actually getting the sense, Pisces, that you're ready for something to be shaken up. You're ready for the old thing to crumble away. You're ready for a new day. And that's actually what's showing up here on the other side of Tower is 9 of Cups, which is wish fulfillment, satisfaction. 9 of Cups means, 9 is, there's a lot of cups on this card. Sometimes with this card, excuse me. Sometimes with this card, it can be, feeling satiated, feeling satisfied. This is a card of sensual pleasure. It means like having just satisfied oneself at the bed and the table. So it's really a card of feeling full, feeling complete, feeling like, I get the sense this is always after like a banquet, and he's kind of smug and happy here. Like this is the feeling you get after Thanksgiving dinner. So regardless of what happens here with the old structures crumbling apart, you're ready for this mid-month, Pisces. You're ready to move on to the next cycle. And so you're going from 8 of Cups to 9 of Cups. The cycle has progressed. It has moved. The one thing that I'll say with the Devil card here showing up in reverse next to 9 of Cups is be careful of addictions, be careful of excess, be careful of things that seduce you, because Devil is a card that can be about passion. It's about things that we believe in that may or may not be real. Often it's like believing in false truths. And because this is such a seductive card, this can sometimes represent things that enslave us and enchain us, like a gambling addiction, like alcoholism, like any addiction, shopping addiction, sugar addiction, anything that, video game addiction, anything that enslaves us and sort of like it turns something that we enjoy, a pleasure, hello, this card, this is about pleasure, turns it into something that we get stuck in, and it ends up being like a chain around us. So that's one caution here, is that even though you might really like what happens after Tower, after this dramatic change, don't get too smug about it. Don't get too indulgent or too excessive, because right on the other side of 9 of Coins is this Devil card. So it's like he's waiting for you to kind of overdo it, get into a place of excess. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of the possibility of going overboard, the possibility of getting ensnared in something by turning yourself over and turning your will over to someone else. That's another facet of this card. Interesting too here, Pisces. You've got Hanged Man, you've got Devil, and then you've got World. So in some ways, this card is about seeing things from your own unique point of view, from another perspective, from everyone else. This card is about pushing through your weaknesses, pushing through what ensnares you, enslaves you, keeps you restricted. And then this card represents freedom. So whatever it is that you tangle with mid-month in terms of trying to not get caught up in some of the weaknesses that you always, this is like holes that we always fall into, traps that we always, things, habits that we have that always trip us up. So if you work through that, Pisces, or if you can even just acknowledge it and try to see it as it's coming, try to not fall into that hole, there's some real freedom on the other side of that. And there's a new beginning here and an ending here. So I'm getting the sense this may be beginning something new that fills your heart. This is an ace, so aces are always beginnings. And this is Ace of Cups, which means joy, creativity, passion, love. I call this card My Cup Runneth Over. And this is a lotus here sitting at the bottom, which means enlightenment. So it's like I am achieving this new, I'm entering into and receiving this new place of peace. That's what the dove symbolizes here. The cups represent emotion, which represents the water element, which you are a water sign, Pisces. So it's like emotionally I feel fulfilled. It's a new beginning that's filling and fueling my heart. So that's coming for you at the end of November. Towards the end of November, there's this Ace of Cups waiting for you, which is this new beginning. I think some of you are ready for that, clearly, with this Eight of Cups energy. And then there's also the Death card, which means letting something go. This is something that has decayed. It's an old story, interesting, in alignment with this Judgment, letting things from the past go. Also being in a place of satisfaction. And cutting this cord. The thing that I always mention with this card is that a rose can't live forever. It's through cutting that rose off that we can collect the seeds and plant new life. That's what this card is about. New life, new heart energy. So be ready at the end of November that something is ready to transform. You're ready by the end of November to let that thing go. And it's actually going to be very freeing for you. This is one of the best cards in the deck. This means being your full realized self, being supported from all sides in the celestial sphere. This is Leo, the fire element. The fire sign represents the courage. This is Taurus, which represents physicality, the earth element. This is Scorpio, the eagle, which represents, our heart and the emotional energy. And this is Aquarius, as represented by the human, which represents air and the mind, our capacity to think. So it's like when you have all of those lining up, you feel free, you feel open. This is the last card of the major arcana. This is the completion. So there may be some things to push through here. There is a little bit of me energy in reverse. There's someone that is possibly being deceptive or being self-centered, being like, I'm going to get away with as much as I can here. I'm going to take all that's mine. I'm cutting corners. I'm taking risks. But that's kind of in shadow. It's kind of like you're not maybe seeing that. You're going to have to push through that, Pisces. It's interesting that this deceptive Seven of Swords, me, risk-taking, criminal behavior card is in line with Tower happening and this inheritance or this large sum of money card. There may be something happening where tables flip, where something dramatic happens regarding either of these characters, this situation with this character. But you've got this new beginning of the heart coming at the end of November, and regardless of what the Seven of Swords person is doing, they're looking at the death situation too, and they're going towards it, and it's sort of like an acknowledgement of the death happening, of letting things go, letting this cycle wrap up, that you're really ready to let go. And by the way, on the other side of it is freedom. It is completion. It is integration. It's feeling like free and your full self again. And I know for Pisces, you may have had a difficult year. I believe Saturn has been in a placement that's just been really tough. Saturn's, I believe, been in Virgo, and it's just switched to Libra. So since September or October, you may feel things lightening up and loosening up, and like this World card. So come November, there are some big things that may happen and change things. But on the other side of these big changes, Tower, death, there is some sweetness, like Nine of Cups, World. And there is this Ace of Cups, new opportunity, new beginning. So November may be a very interesting month for you, Pisces, with the ups and the downs. But I think it's going to be an enjoyable one. after you push through some of the things that you might actually be ready to let go of.